Hello. Hi. Well, that was a ride. Excuse me. So yeah, Doctor Who, season 12, episode 10, the Timeless Children, and basically it's a second part. So pretty much the whole thing. Spoiler. If you haven't seen the first part, then while you're watching a review about the second part, and if you have seen the first part but not watched the second part yet, then while you're watching a review about the second part. So wow. I mean, it's literally just finished. It was an hour this time, so we got the extra 10 minutes. And there have been answers. There have been questions that have been answered. I feel like there's some more yet to be answered, or like how much of what we've just learned is actually real. There is gonna be all kinds of fan wank. Which I don't know how much of that I'm gonna sort of involve myself. There's a couple of YouTubers that I watch on the regular who do talk about Doctor Who stuff. So I might, watch their thing and see what they've got going on about it. And no doubt it'll turn up on Twitter or somewhere and people will be WTFing all over the place. So I guess my thoughts, and I don't know what they are yet. It's good. It's really good. I enjoyed it. Like I said, there's a lot going on. I'm just trying to think, did it feel satisfying? Ooh, I'm not sure I can answer that question. Sorry, I've got a slight headache. This helps. Yes and no. There were a couple of yay moments, and then a couple of ooh. It was a good ending. It did feel like a good wrap up. It did feel like it ended the series well. And some of the scenes in the acting, especially between Jodie and Sacha Dhawan, were amazing. But I'm not sure if, hand on heart, I can say it was satisfying. But that doesn't mean it was bad. I guess I just have a very specific definition of what's satisfying. I don't know. So we open... Well, basically the cold opening is just a previously. And then... we kind of open in the middle. We open sort of catching up with everyone. So... I'm not even sure where we open first. We find out about Brendan, but that'll come up. This is going to be very disjointed. Even for me, this is going to be like a all over the place thing. So I guess I'll do it like I did last time, where I sort of talk about the various storylines. So Gaz and Graham had and their guys, they're on the ship still. They kind of make it to the barrier. Actually, I think that is where it opens, with them guys kind of just running for their lives, and basically the lone Cyberman, whose name I remembered. Well, I remembered, like those previous YouTubers I mentioned. His name is Ashad. So Ashad and his troops are basically chasing everyone down. They're like, "Well, we gotta do something." The young girl, whose name I forgot, she got deaded, which is a shame. So yeah, you got the young lad, Ravi. Yeah. Yes. So it's just like the young lad and Ravi, who are basically with Graham and Yaz, and they Graham's like, "Well, I've got this idea. It's probably stupid, and dangerous, and probably won't even work, but and so basically they say, if we wear the casing of the Cyberman and just pretend to be Cybermen, and it won't work. It won't last. So we don't need to last forever, just long enough to get off the ship." So she's like, "We give any idea what's in there? Like, there's human remains in there." And he's like, "Well, I wanted to say it was pretty." So Ravi and the young man, they basically they're like, well, it's a stupid idea, but it's still the best one we've got, so what the hey. They work on opening up the Cybermen whilst Yaz and Graham have a moment, and it's really... So Graham's all like, look, I know, you know, things have been rough and all that. Like, Yaz is like, we're going to get out of this, we're fine. Yeah, but if we don't, I just want you to know that I find you to be extraordinary and you're a good person, and I think, you know, sorry if this sounds like a bit of me being a bit of an old man, but I think your family would be proud of you, as would the whole human race. And she's like, oh. So, no, it's like the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me. And I just like you to know, Graham, that you're one of the nicest humans I've ever met as well. She's like, nice. I'm like, I give you all this stuff and you give me nice. You go, look, I'm from Yorkshire, mate. That's a love letter. I'm like, that made me laugh. So yeah, they're basically kind of run around the ship. They see them, like, the troops, you know, transmatting down. They sort of get into the thing, and then they kind of catch up with the rest of the story. And so that's kind of their story for now, until they catch up with Ryan, Ethan, and the old man, whose name I still can't remember, and really helpfully nobody mentioned it in the episode. Like, I didn't hear it said once. So that helps. Sorry. I don't know why I'm so throaty at the moment. Also, there's not a lot of water left in there. So, yeah. So, they are basically defending the planet, because obviously the carrier makes it to the barrier. Oh yeah, so before all that happens, obviously we catch up with the Master having just jumped through the barrier. And the Doctor's like, how can you do that? Like, she's like, well, you know, I can, it's me. Like, take my hand and you know, I'll take you, show you everything. He's like, I'm not coming with you. And he's like, you come with me, or I compress those. Which one should I be? Eeny, meeny, miny. He's like, right. And she's like, don't worry, I'll be back. And he's like, no, she won't. Good luck, humans. And they bounce through the barrier. So the old boy basically G's up Ethan and Ryan to basically say, hey, look, we got to defend this planet. We got to do what we can. And here's my weapons store. It's like, it is a weapons store. It's his room, but there's not as much in there. Although he does have this big orb thing, which I guess is some kind of, well, ultimately I guess it is a grenade, which he gives to Ryan to do. And so their storyline is basically, is holding the fort and defending everything, which they do. So they're they're kind of like, they're going through the thing. Ryan gets to use his, because at one point the Cybermen land and they're like, oh, we've detected these life forms, and then the old boy's like, yes, the old classic biosignal trap, classic, it worked. Oh, I thought it worked for a little bit longer than that. And they're all coming along, and Ryan's, it's like, now Ryan, do this. At one point he's like, okay, gentlemen, gird your loins, and Ryan's like, I don't know how to do that. It's like, Ethan's like, neither do I. But so Ryan's like, throws this grenade. He's like, I'm not sure, I've never done like this, my aim's not very good. And he's like, basically there's two troops kind of coming along like this, and he manages to get right in the middle of the troops, and they kind of go slow. He's like, yes, through the hoop, as it was, Ryan Sinclair, bring it on. And of course there's more behind him. He's like, okay, now run. They go down to back into the shelter, and he's like, it's amazing here. He's like, yes, I did it on purpose. Alright, and Ryan's like, boy's like, you ever thought about doors, like big, solid, lockable, unbreakable doors? And the old boy's like, yes, every night, but you work with what you've got. So they've all got their own guns. They kind of split up. The Cybermen are coming through their tunnels and basically take a shot if you have it. Ethan hides in a basket, and obviously he has found the Cybermen contact. They're like, your remaining humans, if you do not comply or surrender, we will shoot this one here. And like, we're coming. They work out how close they are. And so they get the countdown, they get to like 1, and you hear like shots being fired, and you think, oh, that's young Ethan. But it turns out he's like, he goes up to them, and Ethan's like on the floor on his knees, like the two dead cybers next to him. doesn't know what's going on, so he's still sitting in a very passive position. And like Ryan's like, I'm really confused right now. And then Yaz takes off her helmet. And it's like, a little less confusion now. And then Graham's like, can't get mine off. So that's how they all meet up. Basically, they all are now together. All the groups of humans are together and decide to go through the barrier to rescue the Doctor. So this is coming up towards the end of the episode. So the meat of the episode is everything on Gallifrey between the Doctor and the Master and everything that's going on there. And oh boy, is that a lot. So apparently back at the beginning of everything. Yeah, so the Doctor takes the Master takes the Doctor to the centre of the Citadel, to the main chamber. Like where they basically going along with her. Remember when we used to run along here? Remember we used to go along there? And remember that time after graduation we did this prank over there? And so, well, as much as I'm enjoying this trip down memory lane, why you brought me here? What's going on? And he starts talking about the Matrix and the depository of all knowledge, and basically how, for everything he destroyed, the Matrix he kept together because it's all knowledge. And he hacked it, and that's where he discovered everything he discovered. Although I'm curious about the timeline on that, because he said that he destroyed Gallifrey after finding out what he found out. So maybe it's been a while, so maybe he's gone a little bit crazy. He's definitely as the episode goes along, he definitely gets more and more crazy. But I think Sasha plays it very well. It's like, yeah, he's crazy, but it's not like Looney Tunes. Well, there's like a moment of Looney Tunes crazy, but that actually has a logic to it, which I'll get to. So he tells the story of this explorer from this little regarded planet called Gallifrey, who goes off and basically explores. And for as many times as he said their name, and I can't now remember what it was. It sounded like Native Americans, like Karnak or something. So yeah, she finds the barrier, and outside the barrier finds the child, finds this timeless child, and basically, do I leave this child and just explore the beyond the barrier, or do I take care of the child? So she brings the child on board, and then because she's a scientist, she experiments with the child and finds out what's going on. At some point, they make planetfall again, and the child falls off, like playing with another kid with little spaceships. The kids fight. The child falls off cliff, very reminiscent of the way Brendan fell off the cliff, and basically regenerates. And it's like no, because the Master says it's the first regeneration on Gallifrey. It is this timeless child. So obviously, T, because I can't remember how to say it properly. So T, the explorer, you basically starts experimenting even more through several of the child's lifetimes and regenerations, and we actually see the child change race and gender a few times. To the point, I think they do eventually age. They sort of end up as a young black man, which it just is. And then that's when she cracks the code. Like, what is the secret of regeneration? And like a good, slightly insane scientist, because she carried on getting older, obviously, she experimented and decided to test it on herself. So she essentially gene spliced the child's DNA, what she believed to be the secret of regeneration, into herself, and then immediately regenerated into a slightly younger than her black man, which I guess is why I don't know if it's the case that had the child been on a different form, different gender, different race at that point, whether or not that would have reflected what T turned into. Which is an interesting discussion that could be had, I suppose. But then they become, basically, they found the Time Lords. They because they said she was from the original tribe. You see this great, not like a stop motion, time lapse of the Citadel and the city being built, which is very neat, actually. It's quite a neat thing, and it's like basically the rise of the society and the self subscribed elite. They discover the secrets of time travel as well as space travel and all this, and like they give themselves the pompous name of the Time Lord. And most of this is a narration from the Master. And it's like they said at that point they set the regeneration to limit to 12, but obviously the Timeless Child had all these lives. We don't know how many lives they had. So yeah, that's kind of the thing of the Timeless Child, like who they are. And then obviously the Doctor asks, but who is the Timeless Child? What happened to the child? And like Master, don't you know? It's you. And that's why I'm so angry. And it's like, and at that point I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, that ain't going to cause any problems, is it? I mean, yeah, okay, the idea of the Doctor herself being the Timeless Child was posited. So, yeah, I guess it is all changing. I don't know, because people were worried that anything that Chibnall does going forward is going to severely screw up the previous everything, like the previous 50-some years. And honestly, and I'm probably have to rewatch it and sort of take it all in again and see what's what, but the way it is being presented, basically the Doctor had lost all of their memories. They don't know who they were before Hartnell. So, it is basically saying, yeah, this... Because at one point... So there's some stuff happens outside the Matrix, which I will get to in a moment. But basically, we see her in the thing, and she starts to see the flashes of Brendan, like Brendan's life, and she's like, I recognise these flashes of Ireland. I've seen these before, and apparently, whilst she was chasing the Severium, the Master was projecting them into her mind, and it's like a way of protecting her. It's like I'll be honest, I'm confused about how that all kind of actually fits in. But what does happen is you see flashes of her or of them, presumably, because it appears to be the young man that was like the child's final regeneration as we see them, in an office with presumably their headmaster, because she even says, I remember you, I remember growing up, I remember doing all this, I remember being at the academy. And the master's like, yeah, that all happened, we were at the academy together. But so basically, as she's sitting in the office talking, and her teacher presumably is talking about the Great Division and how it doesn't really exist, like, and the whole non-interference policy and all this stuff, it flashes to the Garde office for where Brendan would be sitting in a very similar position, and it kind of flashes, and that's kind of interesting. And at one point, and she say the teacher's basically saying like something about the division not, and that's it. It kind of like stops, and she's like, "What did you do? What did you? Where's it? Why did you stop? Why did you stop it there?" So he's like, "I didn't. That was like when I got here." All of this stuff, and as far as the Master's understanding of it is that all the stuff that's been redacted is a huge chunk. It's like, this is like so much space, and like everything he's tried, he can't crack it. He can't recover that memory, that chunk of the Matrix that seems to be lost forever. So yeah, that's a thing. So yeah, he's like, look, hand on my hearts, this wasn't me. This is like what I got here, and this is why I'm so annoyed. because I don't know what happened to the rest of the story. I think that's the point where she asks, well, what happened to the child? So that's kind of Brendan's story. At one point she even asks, like, did they force me back into being a baby? Which I don't think we really have the answer to. We do get some sort of explanation to Brendan, basically saying, like, the master saying, I push these memories into your mind, you need to go back into them to see what happened. And it does have the thing, because a few people were speculating that what was happening to Brendan at the end of the episode with the thing put on his head is like a chameleon arch. And the big clues for a lot of people were the fact there was like a carriage clock on the thing, which a carriage clock is a traditional retirement gift. I think even today, like, you get like a golden watch or something. So the idea of it being like turn of the century, you'd have like a carriage clock as a gift that's fairly, standard. So the idea of it being there isn't that unusual. And then people say, well, the door looks kind of blue, but again, the police force, they're blue. That's why the TARDIS is blue, because the police force are blue. But she manages to sort of look at that memory from the other side, where you see like Brendan being tortured or possibly committed. We do see a close-up of the back of the clock. Unfortunately, it was writing on it, but it was written in such a curly font I couldn't actually read it properly. And I'm sure at some point someone will have had it. In fact, by the time this is finishing uploaded, probably someone would have posted what that is, and if they have, I'll put something in the description saying, oh, this is what it said. So yeah, Brendan possibly being a chameleon arch previous incarnation of the Doctor, or a suppressed memory, like a covered up memory. Yeah, it's very strange and confusing, but that seems to be what's being suggested there. While still in the Matrix, we actually do see Ruth, Joe Martin's Doctor. And 13's like, what are you doing here? He's like, I don't know, I'm just as confused as you are. Maybe you brought me here. And she's like, oh, maybe I did. And they're basically having this back and forth about, like, did you know this? How are you part of me? She's like, well, has all this knowledge changed who you are? Are you still you? And she's like, I think so. Yeah, I guess. It's like, and Ruth gives her a couple of clues, basically, like, think about it. Think about the one thing that's been bugging you since you heard him say it. And then also, I know, I get it, the Matrix has blown your mind, so return the favour. So she ends up leaving. And 13's like, wait, hang on a second. Don't leave me alone. Wait, I'm not alone. I'm here. Why am I here? I'm still in here. What am I going to do? I'm talking to myself again. Oh, that's a good sign. Oh, shut up, Doctor. I'm trying to think. She has this whole like pantomime back and forth thing, which is great. And she's like, yeah, blow my mind. I got all these lives. Here you go, have them back. So she kind of does a thing where she flashbacks through, and it's kind of the flashbacky thing we've seen before, where it goes back through when you see events from the Doctor's lives. And you see all the companions, like all the modern companions. You see Jack again. You see like all the previous incarnations. Another point I think is going to have some controversy is you do see the scene from the Brain of Morbius where 4 and was it actually Morbius himself, or was it something else? Which actually, that's an interesting thing as well, because the Brain of Morbius was also a Frankenstein's monster kind of type of story. I haven't seen Brain of Morbius in ages, but yeah, that was kind of that story going on there. But they do show the scene where the 4 and the other guy are basically projecting into the computer, like going back through their lives. And then obviously, because that had originally gone back through before Hartnell, people are like, well, there you go, there's proof that there was Doctors before Hartnell. So that's that's going to cause some debate in the fandom as well. So I'm not sure how that fit. I mean, I know the story goes that those other faces were just like production team, like just people that they said, hey, let's just take a picture of you so we can put it in this thing. So that's interesting. And yeah, it basically goes back all the way through. You do see Hartnell, you see flashes of the Timeless Child. Basically, you see flashes of the timeless child that were from this episode, as like it is confirmation that that is the Doctor's lives. And at this point, I don't know if it really is her lives or just an elaborate hoax from the Master. But obviously, because she thinks it is, it makes sense that that's her recent thoughts. They'll be in there as well. It works. The fam, who, along with the other humans, had basically, they find her because they land on the planet, and they're like, right, we're gonna go find her, and like in that place, yep, we'll find her. We'll go find her. So they find her just as she comes out the thing, and she's like a bit wobbly. She's like, oh, we're having a party, and like, well, we've got a plan. Like, oh, okay, cool, let's do that then. So that's all what's been happening with the Doctor in the Matrix. But there's also this other stuff going on with the Master and Ashard and the rest of the Cybermen. So he had contacted Ashad before putting the Doctor fully into the Matrix. Because basically what he did, as they were reminiscing in the hall, he puts like a barrier. So she's in this like ring prison, which kind of knocks her out. And so she's suspended in that through most of her, the entire time she's in the Matrix. She's suspended in this thing in the middle of the room. So the Master creates a link with the Shard before knocking out the Doctor. So the Doctor hears some of the conversation, and the Shard's basically saying, I can do this. I'm more powerful. We will destroy everything. I have the power within me to do all this stuff. And the Master's like, yeah, but come to Gallifrey. We'll have a chat. We'll talk about it. We'll send you the coordinates. So they do. That's kind of a scary prospect. So yeah, there's a lot of back and forth with Master and Ashad where he's like, well, so why did you play? It's like, oh, because there's actually kind of a funny, cute funny moment where he's looking at Ashad, like Master's looking at Ashad for the first time. It's like, oh, that didn't quite work on you. Oh, unless that's how you want. I don't want to conversion shame you. Oh, that's kind of a cute moment. Because I was thinking about this because the Master, this incarnation feels very like I was gonna say slangy, but that doesn't sound right. But he uses human vernacular a lot easier. But then again, he's been on Earth a lot longer. He was for however many years, and then obviously from the Second World War going forward, he was pretty much trapped on Earth. So he's kind of integrated. It's like, it's weird how he's still carrying, like, if you assume that everything he experiences came after his discoveries of the timeless child, that's at least 100 years where he's been living on Earth, if you're including the time from World War II upwards when he was trapped. So for him to be carrying that for a century, because he even says like, the Siberian, having heard the stories of the Siberian for a millennia, but that could be all of their incarnations. Still no idea where he fits in with Missy. It's very. Can you see why I've got a headache now? So yeah, his plan is basically that Ashad's like, oh, we will be the ultimate superior because I have the death particle. The Siberian created it through me, and it shows this little thing in his chest, which is like a little particle, like red and glowy. And Must's like, slight flaw, you also have organic components, because death particle destroys all organics of any kind. So, we will be the ultimate superior, we will be fully converted to, mechanical being. Like, the Master's like, robots? You're gonna be robots? They're all kinds of, you can't go 2 minutes without hitting robots. Trust me, I've done it. And he's like, you have a better idea? I said, yes, actually. So he asked him if he's asking Ashad if how's your conversion rate going. He's like, he takes him on board. He's like, oh yeah, we this is all ready to go. He's like, oh yes, all this millions, like a whole carrier's worth to go. And then, so tell me about the Siberian. He was like, it is with me. it will live in me until I die. And you go, oh, okay, good to know. And he TCEs him. And he's like, oh, I should have told him to cut you down to size. Oh, well, use it next time. And then he realizes, oh, I thought the particle would sort of activate. I'm kind of like, would have been okay with that. And then obviously the Cyberium flies out. And he's like, oh, you're quite pretty, aren't you? So he's having a moment like, I probably would have been okay with everything being destroyed in that moment. And he's like talking to it. He's saying, look, I'm not that wasteful. You're all the knowledge of the Cybermen. I'm all the knowledge of the Time Lords. Why don't we, you choose me? And so the Cyberium goes into his body. And this is where we kind of get the Crazy Looney Tunes moment where he's taking on the Cyberium. So yes, there's a logic to why he's going a little bit loopy. So that kind of works. So he's got it all in him. And basically his plan is to, because he killed all the Time Lords, but he didn't get rid of their bodies, which means they create an army. Well, at this point, just a troop, I think about a dozen or so, of Time Lord Cybermen. So they're Time Lord bodies in Cybermen casing. And I have to say, design-wise, they're very pretty. Because it's the normal Cybermen, heads, like I said, like the classic heads. They've got the bodies with like the robes that the things wear, Time Lords wear, but they've also got, like, instead of the Mickey ears, they've got like the Mickey thing like that. They've got like the spraying out, like the headgear. I can't get it right. Kind of like that, with like the filigree of all the designs that they have, and the neck things. So yeah, that is part of their fin, like coming out as a filigree. They look really pretty, and like over their faces, they've got like the Time Lord writing, like the circle language. So design-wise, at least as far as the helmets are concerned, they're really neat. I look forward to seeing someone cosplaying those. And then they test them. It's like, let's test the theory. And like, you shoot him. Like, I said shoot him. He shoots a Cyberman and says, oh, well, maybe it failed. Oh no, wait. And yeah, the Cyberman, the Master Lord run race, he does. They do regenerate, and then basically gets back up and gets back into formation. So yeah, quite a scary prospect. Regenerating Cybermen, not sort of thing you want hanging around. So this obviously all happens before, like, he basically goes off and says, right, now it's time to put this plan into action. So that's when the Doctor's left on her own, and that's when she breaks out and after talking to Joe Martin and basically like freeing herself. Sorry, computer's gone off. So that's when the fam come in, and the gang, the other humans are like, well, we have a plan. The plan is basically to, because Graham's like, oh, the cyber carriers parked above your hometown, and the plan is basically set bombs everywhere and yeet it out of there as fast as possible, including next to the core, so like create a chain reaction. So you get a montage of them setting the bombs. At one point, the old boy's setting one somewhere, and it suddenly triggers all the others. So like, sorry for the short notice, but run. So they all kind of run. The Doctor from the fam are talking about stuff at some point, like saying about, she's telling them what's all happening, and they're like, so what's the plans? I'm not sure. I just need to finish this. They almost yeet it off of the ship just as it's blowing up. So all running, exciting, all that's happening. They find a TARDIS in a much more classic design. It's like the grey with the round doors. It's very pretty, and the fam recognise it as being a TARDIS. Oh wow, this is really cool. Like, yeah. So it's like, any explosives left? And the old boy's like, well, one, but it's like manual. It's just, of course it is. Oh yeah, because they find the Shad's body, and she's like, oh, that's what he was saying. There's a death particle inside him, and it's like, cool. I can, because she scans his body and like, I can see it now. Like, yeah. And she makes contact with the Master to find out where he is. And she's like, okay, cool, I know where he is, so let's go this way. And he's like, contacts her back and says, you think I didn't notice? So right, you, me, back in the Citadel, in the room, like one-on-one. Let's finish this. He's like, yeah, fine. So basically, her plan is to take the final grenade, which can only be hand detonated, because of course, so do or die, and attach a shard to it. So that should activate, because that should blow up the casing, and would destroy. I think because the idea is being that the death particle will be small enough that it should only be a local, because Gallifrey is quite far off from everywhere else anyway. So it'll destroy all the annex, so basically you will not get the Time Lord cyber race, which is a good thing. And she's like, I've started this, I'm going to finish it. And they're all trying to convince her. It's like, no, I've got it. This TARDIS is going to take you home. It's set. You can all settle in the 21st century Earth. And like, nobody's arguing, because what have they got on that end of the galaxy? So she does that. She confronts the Master one last time. He's like, go on then, do it. Press the button. Become me. Become death. And she's like, I can't. And then the old boy comes along and says, no, it's not your fight. It's not your problem. I started it. So it turns out the old boy was part of the rebellion that had sent the Siberian back in time. And then it's like, oh, obviously I didn't send it back far enough. Don't worry, Doctor. It's like, I sent you away. He said, yes, I ran out just at the just before the door shut. You know, they tried to stop me, but they basically, they all went. So he basically does it. She yeets it out of there. He hits the trigger. She does find another TARDIS. And yeah, you see a scene of the energy blast going out from the center, and that covers like pretty much the whole planet. So the Master's dead again. So we'll see how long that lasts this time. Hopefully that has destroyed, at the very least, destroyed the prototype Master Race cyber beings and the rest of the dead Time Lords. Like, so their bodies have been destroyed completely. She does make it into a TARDIS. She does get off. So we basically come up to the end of the episode, and then the TARDIS that they've stolen lands on Earth, and because it's a decent TARDIS, the chameleon circuit works, so it lands on an estate and just turns into a house. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with that, if they're like, the fam are going to use it. The Last Humans actually come out and they're like, this is Earth, this is real, we're here. So yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen to them, but hopefully they get to live long, happy lives. She does, like I said, she lands back on the planet where, from the previous episode, and she it's like, oh, a tree, good chameleon circuit. Right, well, I'm going to leave you here, but the worst place is to spend eternity. Finds her own TARDIS, and it's like, it all lights up for her. And she's like, home sweet home. I should go collect the fam. And she's like, don't, she starts talking to Sexy. It's like, don't worry. No, I was only for a few minutes. I just need to get back to you. Yes, I'm going to go pick up the fam in a minute. Just give me a second. And then right at the end, we get klaxons. We get the Jadoon saying, fugitive of the Jadoon cold case platoon. Fugitive doctor, we have found you. Your sentence is life in prison. And basically they zap her straight to what looks like an asteroid prison for life sentence. So that's where we leave it. She's on an asteroid going, what? The fam are back on Earth, but they have access to a TARDIS, which obviously they don't really know how to fly, but they have access. She's lost in space, and the Doctor will next be seen in Revolution of the Daleks. So we're getting more Daleks. I have no idea when that's going to be. I haven't been keeping up with when the next thing is, but that was a lot. I'm coming close to the end of time on this video because how long it takes to do. I'm quite exhausted now. My sore throat is thing. So yeah, like I said, it was a good episode. Some amazing moments, especially between Jodie and Sasha and everyone else. Everyone really, really good. Like the moment between Yaz and Graham was very sweet. Like I said, I don't know if this was satisfying, but it was good. And the reason I'm saying I don't think it's satisfying because I still have many, many questions. I still have lots of things I'm sorting out in my head, and I think for it to be truly satisfying, you wouldn't have those questions anymore. And we left on a cliffhanger. So I don't know. So yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. It was, yeah, like I said, the whole review was a spoiler. Yeah. Feel free to tell me what you thought down below. Maybe we'll have a bit of a chat about it. I've got a headache, so I'm going to stop recording in a second and try and rest. So yeah, thanks if you have been watching. I'm definitely looking forward to the next series. I don't know if it's going to be a special and then a new series or what's happening. But yeah, it should be good. So thanks for watching. If you have been, you're awesome. Feel free to do the you know, the stuff with the liking and the subscribing and all that good fun things. I've been Michelle, you've been watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!